Da da da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never met me before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and it has been an editing day. Very surprisingly, in the experience that I had in editing videos today. I am not a big fan of editing. Maybe it's in that confidence of whether or not I can do a good job at it. Sometimes it's just that little bit of a kick to get me started. And I get into it, I do it. I know it's going to take a long time. It's going to take me away from things that I would rather be doing, right? I'm kind of digging my heels in, is what I'm doing. But today, because I have things that are planned for the week already, because I promised my audience that we would do a premiere this weekend, that it was important for me to get at it. And sometimes, most of the time, I have to be my own self parent. We all do, in all honesty. Nobody wants us to succeed or see us to succeed. Nobody is gonna, right, boot that bum for us. And I'm not somebody who likes to treat myself badly. And I didn't consider it that. It's just that procrastination part of myself. And so when I went in today, I said, okay, Cindy, you got to edit that video. Let's get in and get it started. You got lots of footage. And this video, right, should be the length of my live show on Sunday night if I'm going to use it as a premiere. So I'm kind of optimistic that there's going to be like an hour and a half of footage there, or just over an hour. And so I went to work at it. And you know what? I kind of enjoyed it. It was a very different experience for me, in relation to how I usually feel when I'm editing videos. Maybe it has something to do with, I'm usually editing my outdoor explores when I do my provincial park tours. When I get home, I am exhausted. And sometimes I think that maybe, or at least today, I was thinking maybe I'm saying that I don't enjoy video editing video just for the fact that when I'm doing it, I'm just truly exhausted. And it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that, well, I don't want to do it because, well, it's for a good reason. It's because I'm just kind of wiped and I should just relax and take a little bit of span before going at it, which I did. My hair is bothering me, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm just going to see if I can adjust it a little bit. All I can see is a big puff ball behind me. Let me just pull it down. There we go. I feel a little bit better when you can't see that ponytail sticking up. I wasn't paying attention today, the last few minutes of before I was coming live. I said, where's my favorite sunglasses, right? Because I do have things that I want to do. And in that little bit of preparation, I want them easily to grab, to take with me. And I think I lost them. My favorite pair. I've got lots of sunglasses, right? So I'm not too concerned about it. Just a disappointment because it's been a while since I've lost something. And I don't lose things very often. I usually pay attention to my things, but I lost them. And so I was running around my apartment just thinking of every single spot where they could possibly be. And they weren't in any of the spots. So I'm just writing them off as lost. And if somewhere's down the line they show up, what a nice surprise, right? Like the surprise I had today. Oh my goodness, I really enjoyed editing my video today. It was kind of confusing. It was kind of like, I don't know, I like a totally different perspective on editing, because I know that's not how on the norm I feel when I'm editing. But today, right, I was kind of having fun with it. And I was going in, and it was nice to rehash the experience of, I'm doing an experience this. I'm going to start a new playlist, right? Because I explore the inside and the outside. And because I do have that little bit of a polymath kind of mindset that, and it's not a matter of being scatterbrained. I'm just curious. I have lots of interest, and one thing in this process of understanding over the course of, oh, I don't know, half a dozen years at the very least, the one thing that I did get to learn in that process was that I didn't have to sacrifice the person that I was, that it was okay to combine all my interests, right? I don't want to be so spread out there that nobody's going to be interested in what I bring to the table. But I wanted to be consistent when I say I explore the inside and the outside, that all the videos will either explore the inside and the outside, but right? How I explore the inside and the outside, that's always going to change, because I'm always changing. I've never been to a music festival before, and it was lots of fun. It was an experience. And to be back into editing, and now I'm looking, oh my goodness, this is a bag of memory sticks and memory cards, and these have got footage from all my outdoor urban explorations. I explore abandoned farms, abandoned houses, one-room schoolhouses, old churches, right? But I wasn't a very good editor when I first started, right? But it is in the practicing that we always get better. And kind of cool that as you get better, there's that possibility you might enjoy it more. So I was thinking, right, if I can get this video, it doesn't have to be completely finished. I'm not far away. I'm maybe a couple of hours away from having this video ready to go. And once that's done, I'm going to see what I can pull up from this storage that I had, right? Because I know, like I have a hard drive where I transferred everything from these memory sticks and memory cards to the hard drive, but I think somehow I broke my hard drive. But I still have those videos that I transferred onto those hard drives. So we're going to see if we're going to dig something up. And then I thought maybe I would do um, a collaboration, a collage of all those explorers. And I thought that would be interesting. It would be fun for me to actually put something together, being a little bit better at editing. And I think you do a little bit better at editing when you're enjoying what you're doing, because it's important to love what you're doing, right? And I just didn't think, right? Or that little bit of procrastination of getting to it, and to find that I was kind of enjoying myself today. It was relaxing. It wasn't frustrating at all. Normally, it's finding the buttons and how to cut this, how to delete this, how to take the volume down, how to add the music, how to shorten the clips. And it's a lot. It really is. But today I didn't seem to have those problems. It just seemed like I was just able to do it. And it was just out of the fact that I'm trying, right? And in those failures and trying to figure it out and doing a little bit of Googling and going into the Premiere Pro help features and trying to resolve the issues, that when you resolve the issues, if you remember how you resolve the issues, which I must have done, that the process becomes a little bit easier. And when things become a little bit easier, you enjoy it a little bit more. But I also know when things get a little bit easier, there's got to be a higher expectation too, to stretch yourself to get a little bit better. So there are other features in my programs, uh, different things, right? Different transitions and different features that I can use, but I don't do them. I like to keep things simple that way just because I don't know, right? And I want it to be presentable out there because I didn't have that confidence. I never even tried. But now that I'm comfortable, maybe it's time to try to expand and get a little bit better. And that's how you get to be an expert, right? I really would have to love editing. I enjoyed myself today, but I'm not going to say I was actually at that point of loving what I was doing. I was just pleased that I was relaxed in it and I was enjoying it, something that I didn't think I was going to enjoy at all. Hello, Tammy. Cindy, let me just get that. Cindy, if you need more time, take the time. We can wait longer to see the video. It's going to be ready, Tammy, this weekend for sure. It might even, the draft, a decent draft will for sure be done tomorrow because I'm actually looking forward to getting back into it. But because I have some chores to do tomorrow afternoon, so I won't be able to get at it until early in the evening or late in the afternoon. But I don't come live till 9 o'clock at night, so I can work right until I come live tomorrow. And I should probably be able to get it done. And if I don't, then I have, well, Thursday I'm going to my sister's. We're having dinner together, so I'm making a stew, and we're going to have a little bit of a visit on Thursday. But I still have Friday, right? And then maybe Saturday or Sunday we'll do the premiere. I haven't decided which day. I normally don't do the premieres, but it's part of that expansion. It's part of that change, right? That when you're feeling comfortable in what you're doing and what you're learning, it's time to expand, to take on more, to do a better job, right? That's how you get to be the Olympics. That's how you win the Stanley Cup, right? You just start off where you are, you slip up, you make mistakes, you get cranked at for it. You don't want to get cranked at, so you work a little bit harder till eventually you're not making that mistake, but you're making a different mistake, right? So you practice on that one because now you got this one down packed, right? And then eventually you get to be the expert if you want to be the expert. Yeah. But I do believe I should have most of the video done tomorrow. Yeah. So tonight, because I waited so long to get into the powerful word yesterday, and I want to practice again in that idea that, when you get comfortable in things, it's time to switch it up. And you guys know that I said in the beginning of my video, I was going to pull the powerful word rather than just giving it a minute or two at the end of every single one of my lives, my podcasts, right? So we're going to go right into that word right now. I hope everybody is off for good running in their week. I am, and I'm kind of pleased with myself, right? That I'm not having issues with editing my videos. Right? We'll see. You guys will be the judge of it. And it'll be interesting if we do it as a premiere that I can actually come in and hang out with you guys in the comments rather than just reading the comments from my screen and just interacting live. That I will actually be in the live myself on Sunday night, right? I'll probably do it Sunday night and then release it as a video on Sunday or right after, right? It usually takes some time to process as a video. Hello, Kathy. How's your week going? Oh my goodness. I hope you're having a good week, right? I'm I'm off to a good running, right? Things are busy, things are moving along. I'm kind of pleased with myself with the editing. And wouldn't it be cool if I could put uh, a collage of my explores and my adventures together and make a good video. And there wouldn't be any of that breathing down my neck because I wouldn't say, well, I need to have it done in a couple of days or even a week. If it takes me a month, I would think that this would be something good for me to practice in the quality rather than just having something to put out there right away. Oh, company from the West Coast. I have not been to the West Coast I think the last time I went was my high school reunion, my 10th year. So that would have been 1990. So that was, oh my goodness, 36 years since I've been back to Vancouver, right? I've lived all over British Columbia, in all honesty, even on the island, up northern British Columbia, the Okanagan. We lived in the Okanagan. Oh, all over the place. My dad was a nomad. He was big on change. And one of those things that he was big on was moving. Yeah. So I was a nomad too, not by choice, right? But I believe in the end it was good for me, right? You know, lots of things, lots of experiences and adventures that we don't look at them as lessons. And I think that we really should because a lot of our lives, I think, are out of our hands, that they're actually created by something else. The trip ups are planned, not by me, but maybe something out there to say, oh my goodness, Cindy needs this lesson, right? And I think a lot of these experiences that I've had in my life, and I'm grateful, like super grateful for all those crazy town experiences, even if in the moment, and I'm not going to say if, because they were lots of those experiences that I had were crazy town. And, you know, I was having this conversation yesterday that if I had the opportunity to do it over again, I would, right? Because there were lots of mistakes. There are lots of things in my life that I would do over. But because I believe that all those hiccups and wrenches and experiences and adventures that I had, problems that I had, were planned to happen just outside of myself, that they were going to happen anyway. If I had changed any of those experiences, there's a good chance that I wouldn't have made it to where I'm sitting right now, in my mindset, in my even in my lifestyle, and it's not spectacular or anything, but it's created by me, this experience, in my choices. And it's something that I think has been fairly new for me, because I've always been somebody to go with the plan, right? And lots of times I would take those moments, especially, when it came to adventures and Mother Nature's, and I would make these plans, right? I would have made a great party planner. I did a little bit in the wedding planning and stuff. I did a little bit of that. But I found it sometimes to be a little bit stressful, because the brides getting married, they were so stressed and picky, and right. It was hard to keep people happy in that. And the idea, it's in the experience. You're getting married. Like, who cares if it's raining, or you're falling in a lake, or a bird poops on your head? It's your wedding. Like, it's all in the experience, and it's in the trip ups and the hiccups and the wrenches that are thrown in there to give you that experience. Even in my own wedding, like, all my guests were waiting outside at 30 below zero Celsius, outside of the church, and they all came from base, so they walked over because we were at a base church. And the pastor, padre, didn't get to the church because he was all hung over, right? And the guys had to go and get him and wake him up and get him in the shower and get him to the church. And all through the ceremony, he was so full of gas, he just kept burping all through it. He had no idea. He was half asleep, started talking about divorce right off the hop. It was an absolute mess, right? That's what I'm saying. But it's a story I can tell now, and it's a funny story, right? It is a funny story. It wasn't funny in the moment, especially when all my guests were standing outside at 30 below zero. I was sitting in the car waiting for well over an hour for somebody to come and open up the church, right? But that's the idea, is just to live in the moment. And the bad times always pass, and when you have a moment to actually look at it, it gets to be a story, right? Somewhere's down the road, and you can have a little bit of a giggle about it sometimes, right? And there are lessons in that too, right? Even if you live on base, bring your car, drive yourself over. If the church has got a parking lot, utilize it. Okay, you guys, I'm supposed to start the card. Let's get into the powerful word. If you've never hung out with me before, 54 powerful words, right? It's the first thing that comes to my mind. We start with that, and it may roll into something else, but the idea is to be, I don't know, maybe be inspired by it, moved by it, have a little bit of a by it, maybe just a little bit of a laugh by it. It's a little bit got to do with what I was doing today. That was the first thing that came across my mind, because it was a commitment, right? Because I gave my word to my audience that I was going to have my video done for this weekend. But because I have other things that need to get done during the course of the week, I knew that I had to get on it, that today had to be put off the side specifically to get working on this video. And I procrastinated a little bit this morning, right? Like it wasn't going to be my favorite thing in the whole world, editing a video. And I surprised myself because when I got into the video, into editing the video, everything went so smoothly. Like I remembered all the things that I had learned during the course of the past few times that I was editing videos. And it wasn't something that I had to get frustrated by, which is the best part of it because it's when I get flustered and frustrated and I can't stop. I gotta find a way because I've committed, right? I've committed to getting the video done. So you have to find a way. You have to adapt and conquer. You have to ride the waves in that. You have to find a way to get it done because you made that commitment. It's one thing, this word, right? Commitment is your word to see it through. We all disappoint people, don't we? Lots of times we commit, we'll say, oh, I'm in it, I'll do that, right? But I've always been that person. Once I say I'm doing this, it has to be done, right? Because my word is everything to me, right? I can't imagine how I would feel if I didn't keep my word. Of course, we disappoint people. Things come up, and if you got to go to the hospital, you got to go to the hospital. If you can't pay the rent because you got to pay for vet bills or, a flat tire or a mechanic, then these things happen, right? And you can't beat yourself up about it, but you still have to find a way, right? Life hits you in all different kinds of ways. And just like I was talking about the padre in our church when I got married, like, we didn't expect that to happen. Was it fun? No. Was it a problem in the moment? Yeah, it definitely was. I felt so bad for all my guests. I was sitting in a nice, warm running vehicle, but there wasn't room for anybody else with my great big monster Vera Wang dress. Right? That but now it's something that I can be proud of, that maybe not proud of, but have fun with because there's a story in that experience. And it was one of the best days of my entire life, right? It was a day that I dreamed of since I was a little kid. It was a day that I never ever thought was going to be a possibility for me. And that's the truth, right? But somehow, some way, it happened for me. And the mishaps and the things that went wrong, they're just a good story now, right? Because that experience wasn't damaged by it in any way, right? It still happened. I was committed to getting married. I was, right? But that idea of commitment is your word to see it through. Once you give your word, you have to do everything you can to make sure that you follow through with that. That's where my greatest disappointments in life are, is when I let people down, when people, especially the highly sensitives, right? That's something that just hurts really bad. It brings about the guilt and the shame, right? When you can't keep your word. And you guys have been with me for long enough, right? That that if I say that I'm going to do something on this day, I'm going to do it. But lots of times you guys hear me say, oh, I got to get the video done. I'll get it up to you as soon as I can. that isn't a commitment, is it? It's when you say, I'm going to do this, right? Everything else is on the burner until I get this done, right? I gave my word. You have to see it through. That's your honor. And that's important because when people see that you're following through, that you're keeping your word, right? It's a part of the trust. It's part of those relationships that people these days are sometimes a little bit standoffish. And sometimes we have to stack that trust in different ways. I do it in lots of ways, right? Like in showing up here 6 days a week, right? In just getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning when my alarm goes off. Now, right? I didn't hear the alarm for the past 2 days, so I got up at 8 o'clock in the morning. But for some reason, I was getting up in the middle of the night and coming to sit at my desk and have a drink. Let's have a sip. And just sitting up for an hour. So it makes sense that I would sleep in for an extra hour because I'm very consistent in the hours that I sleep. But if I happen to wake up in the middle of the night, I'm still going to take that extra hour sleep. So that makes sense. But it's just about getting back on that routine, right? We all mess up. I kept that word to myself, right? So it's up to me to make sure that at 7 o'clock in the morning when that alarm goes off, that I hear it. Very rarely do I hear it or not hear it. And in fact, I usually wake up 2 or 3 minutes before that alarm goes off on the norm. But I noticed that my phone has been shutting off my alarm because I'm not hearing it. It could be the fan or the air conditioner. It could be, right? But I'm not killing myself to find out, right? It doesn't matter. An hour is only an hour. And if my body needs that extra hour of sleep, I'm going to give it that extra hour of sleep. The example was because I used to be somebody who was nocturnal. I've always had those jobs that were either night shifts or when I was working in the bars or the nightclubs. Like I wouldn't get home until 5 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't want to crawl into bed and wake up my husband when he still had an hour that he could sleep, right? That I would stay up and make his lunch, maybe make him a cup of coffee. He normally didn't eat breakfast in the morning, but and then I would send him off to work and we'd have a little conversation before he would go off to work, and then I would crawl into bed and I would sleep until an hour before he came home from work, right? And I did that for decades. Even when I didn't work the night shifts, right? When I didn't work till early in the morning. I liked to stay up at night to sit and watch movies and right? Just have the world to myself. And it's been about, I'd have to say about 6 years now when I committed to go to bed at by midnight. Usually I'm in bed by midnight at the very latest. And then I'm up 7 o'clock in the morning, starting my day, right? I committed to that in the things that I have peeled off of my life in those coping mechanisms, the payday loans, the gambling, smoking, right? In the beginning, it's all you're thinking about is just not doing it anymore. But after there's a span of time that you haven't done it, now it's your commitment that you'll never do it again, right? That's how these things stay out of your life because you know that when you quit smoking and then you have that one cigarette 3 years later, The next thing you know, you're back to buying packages of cigarettes, right? Or you quit drinking, and then a year later you start drinking again. I was never a drinker, but you know, it's sad when you see people who put so much work into not drinking. My grandfather used to do it all the time. He'd go a whole year without any alcohol. He'd be just like the nicest, most responsible person ever. But he was a mean drunk. And when he'd go off the wagon, it was just like, just messes everybody's life up. So you have to make that commitment. And I had this discussion with one of my sisters who always beats herself up when she goes off her diet. And I says, you have to diet. You have to stay on a eating agenda, a diet agenda, because of the way you talk to yourself when you eat a donut or have a cookie or go off your diet. You're just so terrible to yourself. And it makes me imagine and wonder, like, how did my grandfather feel after going a whole year without any alcohol and then go off the wagon and start drinking again? How did he treat himself? Right? He never talked to us about it, right? We didn't even want to be around him when he was drinking. But that feeling that you have when you let yourself down, right? Or when you let other people down. Commitment is your word to see it through, right? Don't let yourself down in that. If anybody, like, it's most important to keep that word for yourself, right? Commitment is your word to see it through. Here's a nice example. Like, remember what I said, that I used to do a little bit of wedding planner stuff, right? I lived the military life. My husband was in the military. Lots of times before the guys would go on tours or go to the field, they'd ask their girlfriends to marry them. They always have these little quickie weddings. They were small weddings, like backyard weddings. Very rarely were they in a church, but that was my dreams. So my husband went on tour, and he had no interest. I just told him, you get the suit and I'll do everything else, because I'd planned it since I was a little kid, right? So I just went in and planned my whole wedding, and I had like a $30,000 wedding, and I think I did it for $9,000, right? Of course, my mother paid for the dress. The dress was like a $10,000 dress. My mother paid for the dress, right? But I started doing these little wedding planning things for all my girlfriends, and anybody would come out and say, "Oh, I want to ask my girlfriend to marry me before I go to Croatia, or go before I go to Somalia, or before I go to right to Shiloh, or wherever they were going, right?" And I would plan these beautiful little weddings, right? And they were beautiful little weddings. I had lots of fun. But again, they were really stressful because these girls, just like me, dreamed about their wedding day their entire lives. But sometimes in those experiences that we have in our lives, we make those choices, right? To say, I got to have this man, right? It's either going to be now or never. If it's a backyard wedding, it's going to be a backyard wedding. If I'm getting married in my living room, I'm getting married in my living room. If I have to borrow a dress off a friend, I'll borrow a dress off my friend, right? It's still a beautiful memory. It's still a beautiful memory. And like some of these cakes, I made the cakes myself and decorated the cakes myself. But the idea, when I say that commitment is your word to say it through, when people say, Cindy, I'm getting married in 2 weeks. Can you do my wedding? I have a budget of $600. Can you do a wedding for $600? And I would jump in, yes. And then I would have a frantic bride who was phoning me every 15 minutes for 2 weeks, stressing right out. I'd have these teeny weeny little budgets trying to put something absolutely beautiful, right, together because I wanted that for them, right? I wanted that memory for them. But it was stressful. And lots of times I would say, I wish I didn't say I would do that wedding for them, right? Because in the moment, you don't want to disappoint. In the moment, they're your friends, you care about them. So you say yes, but the stress, the work you put into it, it's a lot, right? Especially when you have other things going on in your life. But because you committed, because I committed, I had to see it through, right? Because this was somebody's dream, right? And it wasn't going to be the dream that they always dreamed, but I wanted it to be as close to that dream as it possibly could so that it could be a beautiful memory in the future. Now, of course, 75% of the marriages in the military, they do fall apart, right? But it's 50% in in the civilian life too that the divorce rate is, right? Isn't that sad? 50%, but 75% in the military. That's the failure rate in marriage. But what if we had that commitment, right? Because commitment is your word to say it, see it through. If you say, I love you, I want you in my life for the rest of my life, that's the commitment. But the idea is you've got to pick well, right? You can't be rushed into something just because somebody's got a nice bum or pretty face, right? That you see the qualities in these people and you know what they can bring to the table and you stack the possibilities up that there won't be that 50% or 75% in the failure rate of your marriage, right? We make bad choices. And yes, the world, this day and age makes it easy for us to say, see you on the beach, right? Or get upset. Somebody's left their underwear on the floor. That's it. You're out of my life. See you, right? And you're on to husband number 2 or 3 or 4. And that's the truth. But I also get it because when I say that you have to be good at making those choices and you have to be committed, but you have to see what's good for you, what you really want. Because I grew up in a household, right? If there was a little bit of time taken, that my parents probably most likely would not have been together, right? Because they were not good for each other. They adapted to each other, right? And over time, right? Tolerance comes to acceptance, comes to welcoming, right? And possibly even love in that. But it could have been a different story, right? But in the 60s and 70s, when you made that commitment, that was your word and you saw it through. I grew up, I didn't know anybody who was divorced, right? Now, I'm just looking within my own family how many of us have split. I was the first one in my family to ever get divorced. And when I say my family, I'm going backwards too in different generations going back. It was the very first and it was a terrible feeling. I was fully committed in that. But I didn't want to be fully committed to something who wasn't going to be committed to me. too, right? And so, you have to make good choices in the beginning. You have to know what you want because, when you give your word, you should, right? See it through. It's really important. I think the world would be a better place if we took our time in choosing our partners, right? And then committing to that partner because nobody's perfect, right? He leaves his underwear on the floor, but he's home for dinner every night and he's not cheating on you and he brings you flowers every once in a while and he tells you how much he loves you, right? Like you have to be able to make sacrifices in a marriage, right? Because it's about balancing things out because nobody is perfect. But if you're both committed to trying, right, you should both be able to be committed to working on what's not working, right? Commitment is your word to see it through. Let me come into the comments here. Yeah, I hope you're having a good time. I'm sure they are absolutely just mesmerized by the East Coast. If they came to the East Coast, but oh my goodness, right? So beautiful. So beautiful. Um 40 years. Oh my goodness. A friend that you've had 40 years. I'm just trying to think for myself who in my life, besides my sisters, right? Who've always been my friends in my life. We have been kind of a isolated family, right? We have been. Um, and it's important. And it was only in those jobs that I took that allowed me to become extroverted. And once I was accustomed, just like editing that video today, once I was comfortable with it, I had a little fun with being extroverted. And I really come to understand that, not all people are stinkers, that you can find people that can keep their word, right? That they say that, they're going to come to your house and pick you up for work, that they're going to be there because they gave your word to that, right? But lots of times we disappoint each other, right? Like I said, sometimes it's not always with intent, but if you can make up for that, if you can apologize, if the person can really feel that you are sorry in that failure to keep your word, right? It's like I said, it's how trust is stacked up when you give your word. And that's why it's really important for me to see it through, even if I kind of wish that I had opened up my mouth and said yes. But that's the thing, highly sensitives and past that we're notorious for saying yes when we mean no. We're really pretty bad at it, but we're getting better, right? It is part of that commitment to myself in the practicing, in what I'm learning along the way, right? But we learn just as much from our relationships and our experiences and our conversations, right? But we do. Sometimes it in that repetitiveness, right? Till you recognize that, oh my goodness, this isn't so bad, right? It's pretty easy. And then that's the time just to be a little bit not tougher on yourself, but just to take a little bit more on because you know you can, because you got that down packed. Yeah, I was pretty proud of myself in the editing today. Let me come into these comments again. Um, Curdo boy. Hi, Prairie. I used to talk to you on your Instagram a couple of years back, and my cousins from Kurdistan went on your live and talked. I moved to Canada a couple of years back. What city did you move to, Curdo boy? Oh my goodness. I'm just trying to remember. I'm going to look you up, dear, because I know as soon as I see your face, I'm going to remember you. But I had lots of people I used to talk to from the Middle East, right? And from Kurdistan too. Um, aw. But yeah, I'll check you out. Contact me. Maybe we can have another chit chat if you enjoyed talking with me. Um, aw. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Tammy, for keeping everybody comfortable here. Kathy, it's nice Kathy popped in today. Okay, you guys, I'm all poo pooed. I'm going to go do something kind of brainless for myself for the next couple of hours before it's time for bed. And then I'll get back to my editing tomorrow. Have a little fun with it. Maybe I'll go through all these memory sticks and memory cards and find all these videos. They're even listed here. See if you guys can remember. The side by side and catalog house. Oh, I remember that Explorer. They used to sell kits. Sears and Eaton's used to sell kits for a house. And when you were living out and had some land, you could order these kits for the house, and they would send you all the lumber and hardware and all the countertops and everything for your home, and they would send it by train, and you would pick it up and you would build your own house. We have quite a few catalog houses here in Manitoba. Yeah, I labeled all these things, but the paint is or the Sharpies. Oh, the train station, right? There's the memory sticks. Oh, the train station. I would love to go for a drive out there. I'm sure it's on the ground now. It was ready to fall the last time I seen it, but I haven't been out there. I haven't been out there in years. Union Point Church. Oh my goodness. Remember that little Christmas video I did with that church that was in the middle of the highway in the Meridian and had a little graveyard? And it was the last building standing of an old ghost town that was totally gone. And then they made the highway over the ghost town, and they only left the little church because they had a little graveyard there. And so the highway went this way on one side of the church and then went this way on the other side of the church. Oh, I remember that one too. I think that one is still in my Google Photos. It's those old urban explorers that I have, which I'm sure is in this bag of memory cards. Or you guys, you like have no idea. I have memory sticks. Memory sticks. It's gonna take me a while to find all that footage, but I bet you, there's more in there. It's going to take me forever to find all that footage. But you know what? It would be fun to put a collage of those explorers together. And I'll be able to put footage of some of those explorers that I never used because I didn't know how to take out the really bad wind and the sound, or when I tripped, I didn't know how to cut out when I fell or something like that, or I said something stupid that I would cut it out. But also I have to understand that if I go back into those videos, that maybe some of that stuff that I thought that I was going to embarrass myself because I thought it was something stupid, maybe now I won't think it's so stupid. But I'm committed, you guys. I'm committed. We're going to put something together. It's going to take me a while. There's a lot of cards to go through there and a lot of memory sticks. But it'd be fantastic if I could put something together. And if I can get that footage together, then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to commit. Because you guys know once I commit, that's my word. And I'll have to see it through. Okay, you guys. That's my good cheer. Let's see. Have a nice visit, Kathy, with your friends. Oh my goodness.